Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to what will be our last panel of our two-day event, Center Court, devoted to specialty master's programs. These are the non-MBA master's programs that have really grown in popularity and success. If you've been following our seminars, our panels, you know that applications have soared for these programs, and the number of programs available from the different schools all over the world has also exploded. Today's panel, and yesterday I might add that I spoke to the admissions folks of all of the schools represented on today's alumni panel. We're going to talk to graduates of specialty master's programs from these schools, and I'll announce them in a moment. And we're going to talk about the journey, their careers so far, their young careers, why they chose to go to the school that they did, why they chose to pick the specialty master's program that they did, because there are quite a few of them. There's quite a portfolio, and what they're doing now and how instrumental the school was in preparing them for their early career and their job opportunity. So what I want to do is I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves. Give me a sense of your professional experience, your industry, your role, your undergraduate degree. And then in the next go round, we'll talk about, what led you to pursue a master's to begin with. John, why don't we start with you? That's John Alley from, graduated from Purdue, who works for Tesla. So John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Of course. Thanks, John. So I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I went to Purdue for both my undergraduate degree and my master's degree. So I'm a double boiler. I went back to back. I went and received a master's in human resource management out of Cranner. I started my career with Rolls-Royce Aerospace. I was in a rotational development program. So I started off in Indianapolis at it was called the Meridian Center. It's the big hub. I was doing everything in operations, learning behind the scenes of HR, recruiting. Did a lot of process improvement, realigning some business direction and strategy. I moved over to Reston, Virginia. Reston, Virginia was the corporate headquarters for Rolls-Royce North America, supported pretty much the commercial sales of private jets and big airliners, along with corporate G&A functions, and did some comp work on the side. And then my last role was down in Richmond, Virginia. I was at a factory, and we were building turbine blades and rotating discs for some big engines. I moved over to Texas Instruments. Texas Instruments, I was supporting the chief technology officer and his global R&D team. TI, a lot of people know the calculator. TI is in everything. So I got to learn a lot about TI. And then I also supported a business unit along with some hourly and on the ground technician staff. And then now over here at Tesla, I've been here about 10 months. And in my role, I am responsible for all of non-assembly production for Model 3 and Y. So my client base right now is for about 4,000, 4,500 employees, depending on where we are in the year. I've got a team of 6 HR business partners and 2 coordinators that report up into me, and together we're responsible for all of body production for Model 3 and Y, the stamping production for models SX, 3 and Y, and that's basically a big hammer that beats metal into body parts along with paint for 3 and Y. And then I had the awesome opportunity to prop up the single rub, which is the rear underbody for the Model Y castings organization. It's called the GigaPress. I got to create the cost center and help staff that. So pretty much all the dangerous, loud, smelly, hot stuff I get to go do.
Well, for someone so young, you've had some really fascinating experiences in the nitty-gritty of manufacturing, no less.
It's a blast every day. You never know what you're going to walk into.
And just remind us now, your master's from Purdue was in
human resource management.
That's right, because you're a senior HR partner at Tesla.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go on to Leah. Leah Greenberg Kelly, who is at Nike, is a data scientist there, who graduated from UCLA.
Great, thanks, John. Yeah, so I am originally from Minneapolis, but I went to Boston University for my undergrad. Double majored in economics and international relations with a focus on development, doing a lot of still data related work. So pretty early on, I was interested in working with data. When I graduated, I was working in more of a research capacity, human behavioral research, and econometric research in the public sector, focusing on particularly in higher education, student retention, where students fall off, and how to encourage students to stay in school. So after that, I knew I wanted to gain kind of some more technical skills, be able to lead some of my own research. So I got a master's in applied economics first at the University of Minnesota, continued to do some really interesting and cutting edge research there, working particularly with students again and drug use and the intersection of psychological disorders and drug use. From there, I was still interested in research, but really wanted to gain kind of more technical skills. And I'd heard about data science. And that's what led me to my program at UCLA, business analytics. I ended up interning at Nike there as a data scientist over our summer. It's just a one-year program. And then graduated about a year ago this month and started at Nike as a data scientist, as you mentioned, working in the demand forecasting space, particularly for launch. So if anyone's heard of the sneakers app, everything on the sneakers app, we do demand forecasting for. So it's been a really exciting ride. I've learned a ton. And yeah, I'm excited to continue working in the data science space.
Great, that's terrific. Kyla?
My name is Mikayla Pedersen, or Kyla for short. I studied mathematics at Case Western Reserve University in my undergrad education. And from there, I went to work at IBM in Dublin, Ohio, which is near Columbus. And I was a technical / user experience writer. And then after 2 years of that, I went back to Case Western in Cleveland and studied business analytics at the Leatherhead School of Management. And that was a one-year program. It had some overlap with their existing supply chain and also their MBA programs, but then they added on some data-specific courses. And during that time, I interned at Goodyear headquarters in Akron for about a semester in their data science department. And we did a bit of demand forecasting for some tire plants in Europe. And then afterwards, I started working at IBM Watson Health in Cleveland and was working in the big data space for healthcare. I was mainly integrating the electronic medical records, or EMRs, from our clients, such as the Cleveland Clinic, into our analytics offering for them, on top of and fraud detection and all that fun stuff to solve the big data problems in healthcare. And then I stayed there for about 2.5 years, and I just recently started a new position as data integration architect at Leaffilter here in Hudson, Ohio. And I've been about a month into the job, and they're growing and trying to get their architecture to be more open and agile than it is now.
Great, a good concise description. Also, a lot of different experiences that you've already had. Gracie, how about you? Oh, Gracie, you might be on mute. There we are. Oh, I think we can hear you now, right? No? Okay, why don't we wait and we'll go to Cameron then, and then we'll come back to you. Okay, Gracie? So Cameron, how about you?
Hey, good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Menace. I'm from San Diego, California. I did my undergrad at San Diego State in finance. I then went on to the University of San Diego and did a master's in finance. Since then, basically the week after graduation, I started working at Qualcomm, where I joined the FP&A team. There we consolidated income statement and balance sheet. We did financial forecasting as well. I spent about 2 years there, and I've been in this current role. I do FP&A for IoT, which is our consumer electronics and industrial IoT division. I've been here for about coming up on 3 years. It's been really fantastic. Spent a ton of time with data, learning Tableau, modeling in Excel, And I think really just manipulating data in a certain way to help executives drive decision making. So it's been a really good career here at Qualcomm. I plan to stay here for a long while. Great company, great experiences, and I've learned a tremendous amount. And happy to be here with you guys today.
And let me decode the acronym FPA, Financial Planning and Analysis. Right, Cameron?
Right. Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And I'm not even going to try IoT. What is IoT?
IoT is Internet of Things. So it's basically
Oh, of course it
device.
is.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, we got to watch those acronyms because everyone doesn't know them.
That's true. That's true.
And now we're going to try to find Gracie out there. Let's see. I don't see her now. Maybe she's reconnecting. Gracie is at Bechton Dickinson. She's an associate product manager. She graduated in 2016 with her master's from the University of Arizona. Gracie, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the alarm's going off.
Oh, the alarm. Your alarm in your apartment or home?
They're testing it. So
Oh, well, that's okay. This is the joys of working from home remotely and dealing with all the technical snafus that are always popping up one time or another. No problem. We're going to come back to you once your alarm goes off. Is that okay? So, Leah, why don't we start with you? Why did you decide to go back to school for a master's degree? Clearly, it made a big difference in your career path, given what you were doing before. And why business analytics?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, previous to my master's degree, I was still working pretty heavily with data, working in modeling, doing a lot of descriptive and prescriptive work. I think what I really wanted to gain from a master's degree was to be able to dive deeper into data, do more predictive modeling, machine learning modeling, and deep learning modeling, things that I really hadn't had exposure to working in the particular research field I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of why business analytics, I hadn't had a lot of business exposure previous to my master's, and I knew I wanted to gain that kind of foundational learning that you'll get from a business degree. But I also knew that I wanted to continue working with data. That's always been an interest of mine. So that really became my guiding light, is getting that foundational business experience, but also gaining a lot more technical skills. So the business analytics program at UCLA ended up being a great fit.
Now, there are a lot of business analytics programs. They're the fastest growing specialty master's degree in business right now. And applications to those programs are really exploding at a percentage rate that's higher than any other program. Tell me why UCLA, and how did your search lead you there?
Yeah, definitely. There are a ton of great programs. So I did a lot of research going in, and I think that the thing that really stuck out to me about the UCLA program was the fact that they have such a core focus on holistic learning and career exposure. So it's not too heavily focused on technical skills, although those are definitely still kind of core to the program. But I would say there's a great focus on experiential learning in terms of collaboration, learning key communication skills, being able to present. A lot of the parts of an MBA program that are so important for being able to kind of grow your career and take on leadership roles. So I would say the UCLA program to me did kind of the best job of emphasizing that holistic experience. And then on top of that, you can't hate LA. I mean, I definitely wanted to get to sunnier and warmer weather. So that ended up being awesome also.
Well, there are a good number of palm trees and a lot of surfing in LA, so a good choice.
Yeah.
Gracie, I want to come back to you if your alarm is off. Is it?
yes, it finally went off. Literally, I just got a text that said, I'll be on for 5 minutes, and it was the 5 minutes.
Hallelujah.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, thank you for your patience and for having me today. My name is Gracie Duarte. I am originally from Sonora, Mexico. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, which is where U of A is at. And then I just recently moved to Phoenix for this job opportunity. My professional experience includes being in insurance. So I did sales, I did consulting and things like that in that field. And that was really what pushed and triggered me to really expand my knowledge in business, just because I feel that everything is business. It doesn't matter what you go into, art, biology, there's always a business aspect. So I really loved the flexibility and the opportunity that having a degree in business would give you. So I did my undergrad, and then I went right into an MBA program that focused in marketing, just because I love people, I love advertising, marketing portion of it, and just really enjoyed my time doing both of those. So I'm now, I currently work for Bechton Dickinson. I'm an associate product manager there, and I'm getting a lot of exposure on the global part of it. I work with my counterparts in London and Singapore. So it's this whole working from home has really been great because of all of the challenges and the differences in time zones and all of that. And so it's just been a really great, I think, gateway into just the world in itself to be able to have the education that I have.
And why the University of Arizona?
Well, I'm a wildcat at heart. I grew up there, and from based just on my own, I guess my family, my culture, like we don't leave home too far. So
Yes.
There, and I did do my research, and I did find that the U of A was a really good place for me. It was a good fit. At the time when I started my master's, I was working at U of A in higher education with undergraduate students. So I was able to leverage my knowledge there, and then the scheduling. So I actually did the evening program, and that was really how I ended up at U of A.
Great. Now, John, you had already your career seemed to be going very well. Why did you decide to go for a master's and sort of interrupt your career?
I actually didn't. I actually went right out of undergrad.
Oh, you did? You went
I did the
straight
Gracie
out.
route. I did. How I kind of came to be at Krannert, my undergraduate degree is in organizational leadership and supervision. And really what that really is at the end of the day is at Purdue, it is how do you lead an operations team? How do you manage an operations team? I'm talking like factory foreman. How do you think, basically, how do you sell ideas so you get people to go on the mission that you're going on? And I had a professor, he's one of my mentors. I mean, to this day, it's been a few years, but he sat me down and said, hey, look, I think you should look at HR. And at the time I thought, okay, I like recruiting. And that's about all I knew at the time. And I took some courses as an undergrad, and I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I started looking for a master's program. Purdue has a fantastic master's program in HR. It was really competitive. It was a small cohort. So I knew it'd be hard to get into. So I looked at other schools. I applied everywhere. I'm going to give this little story because it's very memorable for me. But I remember when I got into Purdue, I was really sick. I had strep throat, and I had to take a final exam that day. And I came home and I felt horrible. And I sat on my couch and I saw an email pop up, and I just clicked it. I thought, oh, you know what? This is where we're going to go. And I think Purdue, the reason why I went to Purdue is one, I'm like Gracie, same thing. I went to Purdue for my undergrad, so I'm big boiler. It's a program that really went out of its way to talk to me, to share information with me. The admissions director is a fantastic person. She runs that program. She told me everything, how it's going to go. And then as I went through the program, it just opened up a lot of doors. It's structured differently. I got to go right alongside the MBAs for a year. So all my friends, they're all different degree holders. We have a great network, and it's very hands-on and more operational. We get the theory. We spent a lot of time on theory, but we also did a lot of hands-on. This is what it's like in the real world. This is how you're going to apply it. And that has been such an advantage for me coming out of school, and really one of the reasons why I'm here today, the big reason I get to be here today.
That's great. And in fact, the admissions director for the HR program is who?
Her name's Jill Lynn. I think she's going to be on later when Purdue does their conversation. She's the one that sat me down and said, I think you're going to like this program. So I still talk to Jill all the time. She's fantastic.
Now, I have a special interest in HR programs, in part because I have a stepdaughter who's considering them. What other schools did you apply to in addition to Purdue? Because the HR masters, it's not as prolific as finance, accounting, marketing, or data analytics. There are fewer of them. So I'm wondering, what was your subset of consideration before deciding you wanted to go to continue your education at Purdue?
So I can answer it two ways. When I looked, and then now in industry, kind of the people that I guess you could say I competed with to get a job, I would say the big schools that I looked at was Purdue, Michigan State, University of Illinois, and then Utah State is also a big up and comer in that space. So those are the ones that now in industry, a lot of the folks that I work with here, a lot of the folks I work with at Texas Instruments, Texas Tech's another one. Those are some other schools that come out that we all are in that kind of, we're all in that, I guess you say, tier together. We all kind of know each other. We interact together. Yeah. Those would be the other ones, but Purdue is the one that really, when I applied, it wasn't a second guess. I went, yep, I'm all in on this one. So that's where I went to school.
Great. Now, Cameron, tell us why you chose San Diego, and what were the sort of factors that led you to go and get a master's to begin with?
Yeah, so let me start with the second part. Just the decision to get a master's, for whatever reason, since I was like 5 years old, my parents took me to Stanford, and I thought I want to have a graduate degree at some point in my life. So my story is kind of interesting. I did undergrad at SDSU. I started working immediately as a financial planner. Quickly realized that wasn't the path I wanted to go down. So I took a step back, and my grandfather at the time had terminal Parkinson's. So I took care of him, studied for the GMAT, did really well on the GMAT, and then applied to San Diego State because that's where I went to undergrad. That's really all I knew. And I had just committed to SDSU, and USD actually reached out to me and said, hey, we're offering this Master's in Finance program. This is the first year that we're ever going to offer it. Are you interested? And I said, absolutely. I love, I'm very passionate about finance. It's very intriguing to me. And I thought, how great would it be to differentiate yourself? MBAs, there's a lot of MBAs out there. There are very few MSFs. And at the time, I think it was one of maybe 5 programs in the entire country for Masters in Finance. So I thought, what a great opportunity. And I met with the director there. He was awesome, Marcos Patina. And I thought, wow, I could really see myself here. So it was an easy decision for me. They gave me a scholarship as well. So it was just a lot of factors at play, but it seemed like the right fit for me. And I think that's important too. A lot of people forget that, you're going to be spending the next couple of years of your life at this place. So make sure you interview, make sure it feels right, because I think we all have great intuition if we listen. And so make sure that you feel right and make sure it's the right decision for you and your career.
Yep, good advice.
It's been fantastic.
It's kind of hard.
What I like the most about this program.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to do that when you can't visit campus and actually sit down with other students and talk to them about the experience. But you can do all this remotely until you can visit campus.
Yeah, and for me, I didn't even visit the campus. I've lived in San Diego my whole life. I had no idea what the campus even looked like.
Oh, wow.
It was all just based on email interactions with the directors, and just talking about the program and how excited he was. It showed me that he had passion for the program, and that carried through across all the professors. We had a really good mix of academia, but also people from the professional world would come. We had portfolio managers, we had hedge fund managers come and teach classes, and it was just a very, like Lee said, a very holistic experience. It wasn't just technical, it was interpersonal, it was collaborative. So yeah, very happy with the program.
Great. And Kyla, why did you choose Case Western, and why business analytics?
Well, grad school in general, I was looking for like upwards mobility in my career and trying to pivot to a more technical role. So at first I had looked at other jobs and I hadn't considered going to graduate. But Case Western reached out to me and said, oh, last year we just started our business analytics program, where it's a work in progress, and now we're on the second year and we'd like you to be in the second cohort. We think you'd be a good fit. So they reached out to me first because they were trying to fill spots since it was so brand new. And it's grown. I think it's probably doubled in size by now.
Yeah.
And as for why Case Western again, I just want to stay in Ohio. I like it here despite the snow. It's not that cold if there's no wind. But yeah, as for business analytics in particular, I was considering like a traditional MBA, but I also was looking for that more, nitty gritty down in the weeds, technical kind of role that I wanted to get into. And I thought this was a good way to, split the difference rather than get 2 degrees. I can get half of each and see where I want to go from there.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, Leah, what can you name 3 things that you liked most about your program? This is one of my favorite questions because I think that it really gets to, not only the experience itself and what the highlights of the experience are, but it kind of tells us a little bit about you too. So in your case, what would be the 3 things you most liked about the program you did?
Yeah, so if I'm thinking about the 3 things that I appreciated most about the program, they'd all relate to the people involved. So I would say first off, faculty and staff were incredible. Paul Brandano is the director of the program. He was incredible. John sharing his experience with meeting his director and how welcoming and warm he was. I had the same experience with Paul. Interviewing with him really made me sure that that was the right program for me. And he set up such an incredible experience along with Larry Brahman, our career services director, set up a small cohort with incredible faculty. So we had a lot of the MBA faculty. We also had a lot of people from industry. So I'd say kind of first thing would be people, faculty, and staff. All really incredible.
Let me just add one thing. I met with Paul yesterday, and anyone watching our event today can go back and look at our YouTube channel or on Facebook and find our conversation with Paul, who was terrific, in fact.
Yeah, Paul's so great. He's incredible. He really did set kind of the tone for the program, which I think is so great. And then I'd say kind of the other group of people that I really appreciated were my fellow classmates. So you get people from, it is a small cohort, which is awesome, but we had people from, I want to say 20 different countries in my class, massive kind of range of diversity, both in terms of where people were from, how people identified, but also in terms of just academic backgrounds, everything from CS to people with business marketing degrees. So that really brought such an interesting kind of exciting tone to the program, collaborating with different people from different backgrounds. It really is like it is when you're working in the real world, working with all different types of people. So a lot of great diverse perspectives there. And then I'd say lastly would be everyone we met through industry nights, through recruiting. The program has an incredible network, an array of people that they work with. So you meet people from all different types of industries, all over big tech, all over kind of the startup scene in LA and in the Bay Area. And they all have kind of incredible experiences to share and are really open to helping students. So I'd say people is probably the top 3 things that I appreciated most about the program.
That's great. And, I just want to add here that, for all these schools and all these programs, you're going to find people that are going to become your friends for a lifetime. And they're going to form part of your crucial network. And I think person for person, you probably won't meet a better group of people in your life, to be honest, because, you're going to have smart, ambitious people who want to help each other and help the world. And that these are the people who are attracted to these programs. So Gracie, what were your 3 favorite things?
I would say that I'm on the Leah boat on this one as well, with the people.
Yeah.
But initially, I think that I one of the biggest reasons why I just took that leap was the flexibility that this program offered, being able to do it at night and And then it also had some online aspects to it. So having the flexibility to still continue my career and be able to expand my education was huge for me. That was before I even knew about the program. Then once I got in there, just having the opportunity to collaborate with all of these students with such diverse backgrounds, you know, in everything, culture, industry, beliefs, in every way, shape, and form you can think of it. It really opened up my eyes to what's out there. And it kind of, I think I was really lucky too, that my cohort was very grounded. So everybody was like, you know what, outside of this cohort, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, I'm a that. But when I'm in here, I'm a student and I can learn just as much from you that I can learn from anybody else, regardless of what your background is. So that to me was really, really amazing. And I think it opened up that door to really get the most that you can out of these programs, because there's a lot of theory, there's a lot of, you know, that you have to learn, but then being able to work with these people and like just troubleshooting and all different topics of conversation that come up, I think that was really, really great. And in my particular program, we had a global business trip that I also thought was really, really helpful, because everybody loves to travel, but being able to travel and see it from a business lens, from a totally different perspective, you are getting that cultural experience, but also visiting the main headquarters of really big, like giant different corporations out there. Just, it gives you that experience, like an insider that nobody else really does. And I was able to go to Dubai, so it was a whole completely other experience that was just amazing. So yeah, those would be, I think, my top three, but there's just way too many to share.
Yeah, and the flexibility of doing a part-time program, I mean, that's daunting in and of itself. How hard was it for you to balance your normal life, your workaday life, with having to go to graduate classes in the evening?
It was hard. Time management really takes a toll, because, you know, you say part-time, and that's the misunderstanding, that it's like,
Yes.
only going one day out of the week or whatever the case may be, but the workload, the expectations are just the same as anybody going in the full-time program. So it's definitely the same way that it offers that flexibility. It really does push you to your limits, because things need to get done. And, you know, for your school and for your work, and if you want to sneak in some fun in there as well. So it was definitely challenging, but I think that that's another thing that also helps you grow your skills, because you realize I can do it. You know, it is a lot, but I can do it, and I can grow from it, and I can serve others in their journey.
Right. Great. Hey, and John, what were the three favorite things that you got out of the program at Purdue?
I think the first one, we all talk about friends. Friends extended to network. All of my colleagues in the program, there are 34 of us. I would say 95% of them went on to big corporation leadership development programs and are now fully embedded into organizations. So to have a network of my peers that I can reach out to has been fantastic. More close to home, the power of networking, though, they really ingrain that into us in school. I have a friend, he works here with me now. His name's Michael Fabii. He's another senior HR partner at Tesla. Michael and I were partners in a compensation project in my second semester. Became friends. He graduated. He was a semester ahead of me. He was an MBA in HR, focusing in HR. It's a little different. We've got a bit of a break there. I went to Rolls-Royce. He went on to oil and gas industry. He moved over to Texas Instruments. I called him up and said, hey, there's a role open in Santa Clara. I'm really interested in it. And he said, well, send me your resume. I know the HR guy that's kind of in charge of that. Life kind of happened. I went out and interviewed. I got that role. I went to Texas Instruments. We were still very close. He was in Dallas. I was in Santa Clara. He would come out and visit. I told him, hey, look, I'm going to go to Tesla. It's a great opportunity. It's been a fun role here. And he and I talked a little bit later, and he said, what kind of opportunities you got over there? So I sat down with my boss, the equivalent of the guy he sat down with, and said, hey, I've got somebody that would be a great fit for this organization and this HR team. And now he's been with us for about 5 months, 6 months. So it's really cool. So networking is really real. I would say number two, it's the faculty in the HR space. I mean, I got to learn from like Michael Campion, who kind of is the guy that really understands and I would say defines assessment. How do you assess performance? How do you assess people? How do you assess recruiting? How do you build strategic workforce plans? He's built government databases that every company in the world uses. Brian Deneen, a fantastic negotiations professor. I was very lucky to learn. I use that skill often. And then I would say Ellen Kosick, she was another professor, worked in the I think the Bush administration. Really talked more about how do you look at a corporation from human capital? How do you look at it globally when you're looking at different countries or starting operations in different countries? What cultural aspects do you look for? What are the laws and rules, regulations? What are things that you may not inherently think you need? And then Brad Alge, who was the organizational behavior guru. I probably use most of his skills here in influence and understanding dynamics of human behavior and interaction, especially in an operations environment. And then last but not least, it was the experiential learning project I did my last semester.
Right.
We were human capital consultants. They sent us down to a company. We sat and helped build them. They said, hey, look, we need a new performance management system. The one we have, it's not working so well, and we're changing the way the company runs. So we built them 3 options. At the time, the big thing was no performance reviews, and they were interested in that. And we said, well, might not work for what you do, but that experience in that, and I would say that's probably the most important for my professional life in actually doing what I do. Every company I've been to since, I've been heavily involved in the performance review process. And it's been, it was a major eye opener back then when I could focus on it. And it's also like having a little internship on top of an internship. So it really helped me get that great job.
That's great. I love the networking story in particular, and the wonderful serendipity of you getting a TI job because of that opportunity, and then your friend getting the Tesla job because of that. That's fantastic. Cameron, what were the 3 favorite things in your finance program at the University of San Diego?
Yeah, I think like most, definitely the people. As I mentioned before, the faculty was just tremendous. We had about half from academia and then half from the real world, portfolio managers, hedge fund managers, just people from just business leaders in general. And they got to give their perspective. And that was tremendous. The second would be, my peers. They were extremely competitive, but also very collaborative. We had many group projects, but when you're around competitive people, it kind of raises the bar for you. And I think that's very important. And it's a good skill for life as well. Third, I would say it also helped us prepare for the CFA, which is Chartered Financial Analyst certification, which is one of the most rigorous certifications in the world. They always say you're more likely to meet someone struck by lightning twice than to meet a CFA charter holder. And so the program went hand in hand with that, prepared us for level 1 and 2. So it was just all around.
Yeah, that's great.
Fantastic program. But I think those are my 3 key takeaways from
Okay. And Kyla, how about you?
Echoing a lot of the same sentiments, the quality people between the educators, the instructors, the professors, guest speakers, and my cohort as well. Also admissions, just grateful to them. Everyone had a lot of hands-on career experience and were kind of established in their roles. And then flexibility with scheduling, because it's a full-time program at Case Western, but it was also a part-time internship. So they would talk with mentors at the local businesses where we interned and get our schedules with them and kind of schedule our classes around that for everyone in the cohort. On top of that was the applicability. As I said, we had like guest speakers come into our classes and they gave us real world, data extracts from their databases that were dirty, and we would clean them, wrangle them, get them all zhuzhed up and try to extract insights from that. So it was just a bit of a taste of, this is what you're going to go through. So get ready, and just grateful for them being embedded in the local business network.
Terrific. And even though each of you learned a lot of nitty-gritty technical skills in data analytics, finance, marketing, HR in your programs, I wonder to what extent soft skills were emphasized. I mean, things like just working in a team and collaborating with others who are very different from you, leading a group of people, motivating them, negotiating with different people about points of view, presenting effectively. Leah, was there much attention to that at UCLA in your program?
Yeah, definitely, John. So as I mentioned, I think that's really what attracted me to the UCLA program, was getting that kind of, again, I'll say holistic experience. Huge focus on communication, first off. So both written communication, presentation skills, how to tell a story, because storytelling is so important, particularly when you're working in a technical field, being able to communicate with non-technical stakeholders. I mean, that's huge. I would also say collaboration. There was a reason why in a lot of our group settings, we weren't allowed to kind of choose our groups, really mixing things up and getting a lot of good experience working with different people. And occasionally we'd have, product lead opportunities to really lead one of those projects and get that leadership experience. And then I'd also say really key into the networking piece, which is part of communication, and everyone's talked about it here, but I'd say learning how to network effectively, how to really make those relationships. That's so integral to really life in general, but certainly your career opportunities. So that was a huge focus of the program, and it was really fun seeing kind of everyone come in at the beginning and how kind of awkward and shy we were at those first networking nights to at the end where everyone was really engaging and making relationships with whoever was attending. So yeah, I'd say absolutely a focus on things other than technical skills.
And Gracie, how about in your program?
I echo the same thing. It was very well-rounded. We had a lot of experience, opportunities to really expand our networking skills and really learn from each other, not just within the classroom setting, but also with all of the professors. And then there was several evenings when they would have industry come in, and we would have just go out there and talk to them and pitch different ideas and just practice and get feedback from them. And then on a more social setting, we would also have happy hours where alumni from previous years would come, also people from industry, and give us that opportunity to really just keep growing and keep expanding and trying to get the most that we could out of that program, with the understanding that it's not all about the technical. It really is a lot in networking and using your network and everybody that you're getting to meet there. The world is so big yet so small, and I think that was one of the really huge focuses at Eller for us.
Yeah. Cameron, did you get a sense of the soft skills as well in your program?
Yeah, absolutely. Like others talked about, these industry nights and networking events, they set them up for you, but it's really up to you to go take the opportunity and seize it. And I think that's very important with life too. There's a lot of times where you just got to be in the right place at the right time and things will happen. I think the other John, who's now in Tesla, I think his story speaks to that, where you meet people, they go to different role, so it's important to seize those opportunities and be brave. I know I speak to a lot of universities, and I always allow myself time after to meet with the students, and it's very few of them who are actually brave enough to come up and say something, or whatever it may be, network. And actually one story, I was speaking at San Diego State University, and one student, I spoke to a class of about 60 people. Only one student came up to me. He was about to graduate. We talked for a bit. I didn't have any open roles at Qualcomm at the time. Fast forward, 6 months later, we were hiring. I thought, oh, this guy, he was very well composed. He seemed very professional. Let me give him a shot. And now he works with Qualcomm. So again, it's very important to put yourself out there and be brave.
Yeah, good advice for everybody on everything, frankly. Yeah. And John, I'm assuming that given the HR nature of your program, soft skills count for a lot, right?
Soft skills are a big part of my technical skills. I think you could say that. I think what was really neat for me is we did when you start, we ran parallel with all the other programs for the first, pretty much parallel. We took the same core classes. So we were mixed in with STEM, we were mixed in with MSF, finance, marketing, data analytics. We were all mixed in together. So we started off in teams of 5 or 6, and we took classes together. We took the basic OBHR, organizational behavior, data analytics, and a couple other courses. And what helped me as an HR person, especially now in my career, I got to work with a lot of different personalities and styles. And now in my life today, I deal with a lot of different personalities and styles, and how you influence the decision, how you can be the partner. That was where that started. And I learned in the beginning, okay, not everybody thinks like me. And I have to be able to present myself, pitch myself, and give them the facts they need to move to do what I think we need to do, and also understand, like, oh, maybe my direction isn't the only direction. So that soft skill for me, to be with people that all walks of life, different countries, different stages in life, different backgrounds, work experience, like everyone else has said, was incredibly important. More important, I didn't realize it at the time, but was more important than most things I could really learn in a textbook.
Yeah. And I think the dirty little secret of every business school experience is that you learn as much, if not more, from your classmates than you'll ever learn in frankly, from your professor, because it's the shared experiences of people that really make a good graduate education come alive. Kyla, if you had to describe the quality of your classmates, what would you say? What were your classmates like? How did they contribute to the experience that we're talking about here?
Sure. So we had a diverse background of students in the cohort. I'd say about half were international students from China and India, and then half were domestic. Some were from Case, others were from, East, West, and Mountain. So a lot of them were either fresh out of undergrad or about, I think, up to 5 years of work experience. And quality-wise, the ones who had work experience already were helping with others who were fresh out of undergrad, kind of learn, like, this is how you're going to negotiate, or how you interact in a team environment. And that goes into that all of our assignments were pretty much team-based, except for the examinations in class were individual. But we really got to know each other, and we had 2 organizational behavior classes, one for team development and one for individual development, in that order. So we got to bond first, together as a whole, and then kind of work on ourselves and discuss with each other how our career prospects were going along. So I'd say it was, a great time, lifetime of friends, and we're kind of all over the globe now, still keeping in touch.
Now, I'm sure no one has any remorse about having done their experience, right? No, definitely not. Okay. So Leah, can you talk to me and tell me about how your experience sort of shaped your new career?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can certainly say that without my program, I would not be a data scientist today. I think coming into the program, I was thinking about, maybe a less technical path, maybe business analytics, be more on the reporting, insight side, which is also very exciting. But I think what this program did is show me kind of the breadth of opportunity that you could have coming out of a business analytics program. And then my program connected me directly with Nike. So UCLA has a great relationship with Nike.
Yep.
They came to our program, presented for us, and really gave us a perspective on Nike, not just being a retail company, but really transitioning into a digital powerhouse, and some of the problems they were working on, particularly in the operations supply chain space. That all made me so excited to apply and learn more. So I'd say without my program, I'd be doing something very different today.
So you interviewed with Nike for their internship first, right? And that was a direct result of their on-campus intervention?
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
And then you finished your internship, and then they offered you a full-time job?
Yes. Yep, got it
Nice.
right. Yeah.
That's really nice. John, how about you? How did your experience at Purdue in terms of career management, career development lead to where you are now?
Well, I would say in the very beginning, Rolls-Royce was the goal for me coming out of the program. I did not intern with Rolls-Royce, but when I came back, it was Rolls-Royce's leadership development program at the time, they would take one person in the HR realm. And I remember I got past the first round, and her name is Pris Gertie. She is a career coach at Purdue, and she's fantastic. And she sat me down one day. We were getting ready to interview, and she said, "All right, big guy, are you ready to go? Here's what you're going to go do. Here's what we should talk about. This is what you should think about." And she really helped me prepare. It was an all-day assessment. There were multiple components of the assessment. As an HR person now, I'm thinking, man, that was rough. But she really ensured I had what I needed. I had the feedback. And Wendy Dukes, who's another career coach, she was my main career coach. She made sure, hey, resume's good to go. Are you thinking about doing this? Are you thinking about doing that? I think that the staff that helped me kind of get to Rolls-Royce really opened the door for me. It was a fantastic 2 years.
Yeah.
I got to do an incredible amount of stuff that I never thought I'd do. And because of Purdue's HR, I mean, I never would have had that opportunity if I wouldn't have had Purdue, because Rolls-Royce is tied heavily to Purdue. There's even like a turbine testing facility on campus now, big combustion engines and metallurgy. And then we have an airport. So we got a lot of airplane stuff going on. I would say that if that opportunity hadn't been there, I would not be sitting here doing the job this is the coolest job for me I ever could do. So that was how Purdue made sure, to the best of their ability, that I was prepared, had my head on straight, that I could go do well in that interview.
Yeah, that's terrific. And as you said before, the faculty played a really big role in your development and helping you out even after you graduated, right?
Oh yeah, I still talk to Wendy Dukes. I talked to Pris Gertie. I talked to Jill Lynn, the professors. I talked to a lot of Purdue students. Because of that relationship, we actually brought on a graduate. She just graduated a few months ago, and she's over here now working with one of my peers in the seats division of Tesla. So trying to bring students into where I go, bring some of the Purdue talent from the MSHRM program. It's kind of my duty as an alumni, and I know the quality that comes out of there. And the team here and the teams I've worked elsewhere really want that, and I want to make sure that I can give back to Purdue as much as they gave me.
That's great. Cameron, can you tell us how the master's experience helped you shape your career and land your job?
Yeah, my story is very similar to Leah's. Qualcomm came to campus and did an informational session. I ended up talking with one of the directors of finance after. We actually had a very good conversation. And she said, "Hey, you should apply for an internship." I said, "Okay, that's fine." You know, I was graduating with a master's degree, but I was going to apply just to be an intern because I just wanted to get my foot in the door. And so I applied, interviewed for that. They said, "No, honestly, you're too good for an internship. Let's try to see if we can get you full-time." And so I interviewed for a couple different roles, and then finally it stuck with financial planning and analysis. And so without USD having that relationship with Qualcomm, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And also it's cool too, because life comes full circle. I get to do the same thing for USD students now, where I go back and talk to USD students and, you know, interact with the students and just, you know, kind of give them advice and help them shape their career path. So I think that's the beauty of, you know, life comes full circle.
Yep, totally. And Gracie, what role did your program play in getting you this job at Bechton Dickinson?
Well, my role specifically requires an MBA, so I couldn't even apply for it without it. So being able to do that, it really just opened up that door for me, and then coupled with my experience. And once I was in, I also realized that there is a good relationship between Bechton Dickinson and U of A MBA full-time students. And now I'm able to talk to them as they come in as interns and let them know, like, this is what it looks like after your intern, just because internships are so fast and they're exposed to so many things.
Yes.
If you do decide to go down, like me with the product manager role, this is more like you'll be doing much more of this and less of that. And so it was really great and amazing, because I feel that without it, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Great. Kyla, I'm assuming that your experience at Case Western also made a big difference to your career?
Yeah. Well, for my role in particular, where I pivoted after my grad degree to working at IBM Watson Health in Cleveland, it helped to be local again when I applied on like the internal career marketplace. But my coursework also gave me the fundamental skills needed to be a data integrationist. So it really, pretty much a lot of the interview questions were direct applications of what I just went over in class that day. So I was grateful for that opportunity.
Great. So if I want each of you to transport yourself back to before you went to grad school, and if you had to give advice to someone who, is in the same place that you were in back then, what advice might you give? Kyla, what would you tell people who are now considering going to graduate school and getting a master's degree in business?
I say go for it. I have no regrets. The degree has paid for itself like 3 times full in just 3 years. So I'm not going back. I want to stay. If I could go back in time.
So you got your ROI on the degree.
Yeah, I'm done. I was debt free like when I went in, and I took out loans to pay for it, but I really didn't need it. I just paid off the loan, right away after a few months. So never gone back. Yeah.
That's great, because a lot of people, obviously, these are not inexpensive educational opportunities, and a lot of people are kind of daunted by, the price tag on some of them. But there's also scholarship money out there, and it is generally a 1-year program, and that we're talking about here. In some cases, a little bit longer, and it does make a difference, obviously. John, I'm sure you have no issues with your ROI, right?
No, not at all. If I could go back in time and sit down with myself, I would say, look, you have no idea what you will do and what your life will look like. What you think is not what it will be. It'll be way more exciting. And that's what grad school did. I've been able to live all over the United States and get out of my little town. So I would tell myself, and I would tell anybody, if you're thinking about it, just do it. It's a journey. It's stressful sometimes. It's great sometimes. Sometimes you got good and bad moments, but at the end of the day, it's the best experience of a lifetime.
Yeah, that's really right. Gracie, what advice would you dispense?
I would say the same thing. Just go for it. I would say network. Do your research, and just go in there with an open mind and realize that things aren't going to be perfect. I love that image of this is the way people think life is, but it's really like
yes,
that you get there. So really embrace the journey and realize that yours is different from anybody else in the program. And the biggest thing is, 1, do it. And number 2 is just really get the most you can out of it from the people that are there. Really expand that network, make yourself available, and realize that no matter what your background is, you do have something to bring forth to this cohort. Great.
Cameron, your advice?
Yeah, mostly the same. Like I mentioned earlier, just be brave, but also I'm a big proponent of visualization. I think it's important to visualize your life and the person you want to become. And you should align yourself with the school or the program that is aligned with your vision for yourself. For me, it was USC. For others, it just depends wherever you get a good intuition from. So really my advice.
All right, be bold and visualize what your future can be. Leah, last words from you.
Yeah, great advice coming from other panelists. I wish I could have spoken to you all before going into my program. I would just add, I think, believe in yourself. I think it's so important to stay confident. Don't compare your path to other people's, and believe in your full kind of capacity and capability. The sky really is the limit, and in graduate school, you learn that. So particularly, I would say, as a woman in a technical field, I'll just add, make sure to believe in yourself. You can do whatever you want to do. You'll be able to compete. Just work hard and trust your gut.
Now, Lee, remind me what your undergraduate major was.
Economics and international relations.
Okay, so it was, you're not technically a poet because econ is a bit quanty, right? And I know that the finance program at UCLA is quite quanty, right? It's good amount of quantitative work in there.
Yeah. The analytics program at UCLA is definitely highly quantitative. And I would say I was more focused in the development area in undergrad. So a lot of growth that happened very quickly.
Right. All right. So there you have it. Leah, Kyla, John, Gracie, and Cameron, thank you so much for sharing this past hour with us. Really appreciate it. All of you are terrific. You know, you're on to wonderful things. I can only imagine what's ahead for all of you. I think, as John said, you know, he never would have imagined himself where he is today if not for the graduate experience he had. I think that's true for all of you. And who knows where you'll be in 5 years. I know it will be in a good place for sure. So thanks for joining us. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. This is our last panel in the Center Court event for Masters in Business. Now, if you want to watch them all, you can go to our YouTube channel or go to our Facebook page, and you can replay all of them, some of them, none of them, all up to you. Meantime, thank you, and for all of you, good luck in your careers. Thanks a lot.